Hello and a warm welcome to the TNC podcast. It's a big week for Norwich City, midweek action against Sheffield Wednesday. It all concludes this week with an East Anglian Derby. It's been a while since we've said that's coming up. And an entertaining game to review, Chris. A 0-0 draw against Preston North End. Couple of games unbeaten. What more can you want?
I will be, hello by the way.
Good to see you.
I will be so surprised if we manage to get through an hour of content today. I really will. I think we could probably summarise this in maybe like a sentence.
Well,
couldn't
let's
we?
not.
And then just press stop and give up. We've got a couple of announcements, haven't we, Jack?
We do. I mean, you are looking outrageous.
Well,
in a good way.
I thought I would go festive.
Yeah.
This week, because I can tell you one thing for free, Jack. I'm not going to be feeling festive come next Monday when we do the next podcast.
Okay. Well, you might see, for those listening rather than watching, we are wearing some yellow and red scarves, and that's because we welcome the brilliant Coleman's as a sponsor of the channel, Chris, and they're all over this week.
Yeah.
They are pumped up.
Yeah.
They are bringing the heat.
Well, they are, and good, and I'm pleased because we need a bit of Coleman's. I hope they feed them Coleman's pre-match.
Yeah.
I hope they've got bloody toast for breakfast and they're spreading that Coleman's on.
Getting fired up.
Yeah, and getting those lads fired up because we're going to need it for the derby, that's for sure. It makes me feel nostalgic, Jack, because the first Norwich kit I ever had was the famous Coleman's kit.
Exactly.
So maybe it'll bring a bit of that spirit back into this city side.
I think so. Well, look, they're looking to bring the heat, as I say. Lots of exciting stuff coming with Coleman's over the coming weeks and months. Stay locked in to the TNC socials. There might be some giveaways coming up as well.
Ooh.
So that's very exciting. Welcome aboard. Also, Chris,
Yes.
Gabby Sarah very kindly donated one of his shirts, signed shirt, to us to give away, to raffle off for Big C, because he loves what they're doing and he wants to support. It's just hit £2,000 worth of raffle entry. So those of you that have already donated, we're doing the draw. Is it Monday? Next Monday?
Yes.
After the Ipswich game.
After the Ipswich
so
game,
stay locked in to see who wins that. There's still time to enter. £2 per raffle ticket. You can enter as much as you want and you'll be in with a chance of winning a Gabby Sarah signed shirt.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it, Jack? Right?
Absolutely.
A couple of quid, you might win the Gabby Sarah shirt, and if you don't, then you've given to Big C, of course, our charity partner, one of our charity partners who help people locally affected by cancer. £2,000. Thank you to everyone that's donated so far. Please do continue to donate. You'll find the links somewhere on our socials. And also, thank you to Gabriel Sarah himself, who actually went, I want to win my shirt back.
Oh yes, he donated.
Yeah, he chucked 100 quid on it,
Yeah.
and so did his best mate who plays for midfield, who plays for Sao Paulo in midfield.
Oh, wow.
I think his name's Rodrigo or something like that.
Can we sign him?
Maybe. Well, there was a talking point about that when fans had cottoned on to the fact that he'd donated as well. I think Rodrigo chucked 80 quid on.
Nice.
So clearly he wants a bit of Gabriel Sarah.
What happens if Gabby wins his shirt?
Well, we'll have to redraw it, won't we?
Will we?
Surely.
Maybe he just desperately wants it back.
Oh, maybe we'll have to give it to him. Well, I'll have to ask him, obviously. Massive thank you to everyone, and continue to donate, please. 2,000 is a massive amount, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So there's still time left to get involved. The links in the YouTube description or also on socials. Look, we've delayed the inevitable enough, Chris. We need to talk about Norwich City's most recent result against Preston North End. There was an opportunity if we'd have won.
Do we have to?
There was an opportunity if we'd have won to go 1 point off the playoffs. It ended in a 0-0 draw. There were actually chances for both teams in a limited capacity, but it does feel as if it was an opportunity missed for David Wagner's side.
Without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt. I mean,
sorry.
I forgot.
Your Coleman's.
Yeah, I'll sort of wear this scarf more like a priest, shall I? So it doesn't touch my mic. I feel quite important now.
Do you?
Look, some great chances for Onel Hernandez. Some Liam Gibbs, I think that was the one, wasn't it?
The chance.
Shane Duffy as well, glorious chance for him as well. So I definitely see it as points lost rather than a point gained. I think Preston will be absolutely delighted with that point. They came with a game plan, they executed to perfection, and arguably they executed better than what we were meant to execute it when they said that we were going to be more defensive. So. A disappointing performance again, a performance that was sadly expected. I obviously said on the podcast last week, I went, well, this is great. You know, we were 3 wins in 4. You win against Preston, and then you win against Wednesday, and you've teed up the derby in a completely different dynamic. Because Ipswich will be looking at that run of form and going, okay, not too shabby. They could do something. So they might go at the game differently. And now I suspect they'll be rubbing their hands together thinking this team are a shit show.
I think the real disappointment is I keep hearing people saying, you know, Preston came with a game plan and executed it well. I mean, did they? They stuck 5-6 men behind the ball and we couldn't break it down.
Well, yes, but you do have to factor in, Jack, they had a couple of really good chances to actually win the game. So... I maybe I'm seeing it a bit sceptically. I don't know, and I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts and feelings if they can be bothered to summarise a 0-0. But for me, massive opportunity wasted, and I'm not having this like, oh yeah, it was an improved performance. Da da da. Come on, where have your standards gone? Like, we cannot be drawing at home to teams like Preston. And their run of form as well, going into that game...
worse than the league.
...was shocking. Yeah. Like, abysmal shocking. Their fans were, you know, kicking off. It was arguably just as, if not more toxic than how our fans have been feeling. So, we had to win that game. And the fact that we hadn't is a massive worry. And for me, Jack, we go into this Wednesday game on Wednesday. And I'm really concerned because... that is a massive banana. Of course, we must win it. We should win it.
Well, they've new manager, couple of wins.
But I don't care. We should win it. But if we don't see not just a win, but an uplifting performance, I'm even more concerned for that derby game.
I think the real concern for me is I'm still not sure Vagner knows completely what he's doing. I mean, Kenny McLean remained in centre-back, but for that second half, our centre-backs were essentially Marcelino Nunez, who dropped in. We had Premazar Pajeta come on late at left-back. Kellen Fisher came on at right-back. So once again, you've got this defensive line that is so different to what any other game has been. And it feels as if this Norwich team can only succeed when there is chaos in the game. You look at Cardiff, you look at Bristol City. It's only when the opposition are, you know, trying to do something that we have the ability to break open. I mean, the Preston line of defence, it was far from, you know, an extraordinary defensive performance. And I look at it, really, their keeper didn't make a save. Made a save off Onel Hernandez that was fairly simple. Liam Gibbs misses from 8 yards out. And the Shane Duffy header is cleared off the line by their defender. So actually, did we trouble their goalkeeper? No, we didn't. Preston hit the crossbar. They had one cleared off the line late on. So like you say, they could have quite easily come here and won. And I just look at this game once again, Chris, and I go, I don't think we've got the ability to extrapolate these performances out in a consistent manner. People keep saying, and like I said at the start of this show, well, we're only 3 points off the playoffs. Well, actually, I think we're only 5 points off the bottom 3. There's a pack of teams in there.
You can see it in both ways.
I think you've got probably a pack of 10 teams chasing essentially one playoff spot now. I think Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds, Southampton are all guaranteed top 4 in some way.
Brom will be in there.
West Brom. So then you've got one other playoff spot. Are Norwich good enough in the current guise to do that? No, we're not. No, we're absolutely not.
I mean, look, let's quickly go to the stats from Saturday to sort of talk about it. I mean, I guess you could say to try and have a positive, we had more possession. I'm anti talking about that normally because there's only one stat that matters. We had 64% possession versus Preston's 36% possession. We had 4 shots on target, which is a slight uplift. But still, at home, it's unacceptable, and I personally don't understand what constitutes as a big chance. But according to the statistics I'm reading, we only had one big chance.
Probably Gibbs.
So, again, at home, that's not good enough.
I thought it was very telling. Kenny McLean, on quite a few occasions in the second half, was just screaming at the people in front of him to make some form of run. And I think the difficulty we've got now is Ashley Barnes and Adam Eder started up front. You would have assumed that it would be more suited to Ashley Barnes, strong in the air, you know, might be able to find something. Didn't really muster up anything. I think they were so deep, Preston, that Adam Eder couldn't make those runs off the shoulder, so he struggled a little bit, and I was disappointed with how much there was really nothing for him to go at. So,
but I need to jump to the defence of Adam straight away. He absolutely deserved to start. I'm so pleased that he started that game. I actually thought there were a couple of moments where he managed to shield the ball well, which he hasn't normally had in his locker. It's not as much of a strength for him. I thought he was very, very good at that. Against Preston, there was a couple of real nice turns on the ball where he then created an opportunity to bring the ball forwards. Deserved to start. There is an interesting question though, Jack, isn't there? Because like coming to the next two games, I think this is one of I think there's two areas. I think there's probably three areas actually. One of the areas that I think is now up for discussion in terms of rotation and what do we do differently is who and how do you approach that forward line? And let's maybe forget Wednesday. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't. Who should be starting going into the Wednesday game, and who should be starting up front going to the Ipswich game?
Well,
how do you do that?
I think you have to almost line up against Sheffield Wednesday in the way that you think you're going to play against Ipswich.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you need to be. Maybe it's slightly.
But Sheffield Wednesday will come here and park the bus, surely.
Yeah, probably.
They'll just follow the Preston blueprint.
Maybe it's and
it works.
It will probably work for them because we lacked such creativity. Equally, it's funny, isn't it? Because if Gibbs had scored that chance and Duffy had headed in and we win 2-0 and you go, well, quite a professional performance. So very fine margins in this game. I'm just worried with these performances. Against Ipswich, it's going to be such a different game.
Yes.
Ipswich have conceded a lot this season and they've scored a hell of a lot. They are so free-flowing. I look at their team and I just think, I don't know how we keep these guys out.
Yeah.
Because we've kept a clean sheet against Preston. We kept a clean sheet against QPR. Two teams who didn't really come at us at all.
Yep.
And we've been playing Kenny McLean at centre-back for the last two games. And I'm looking at this and going, will that work against Ipswich? Now,
so what's your answer to up front? Answer the up front question.
I think Eder starts.
Right, okay.
I think Adam Eder starts.
Against Wednesday and Scum?
I think definitely against Sheffield Wednesday.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm looking at the Ipswich game, I think I'm having to go with Ashley Barnes because he epitomises what I want in a derby. He's almost got the grunt
experience,
shithouser about him.
Yeah.
And I think we need a bit of that.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, we have to.
I think we need a bit of that. I think we need to see a bit of rough and tumble when we need to.
Well, let's make it clear. That's the only way we can sadly, in my opinion, beat Ipswich. A bit of skullduggery, a bit of the dark arts, a bit of shithousery. So yeah, I would agree with that. Although I would definitely start Adam against Wednesday. The other area that I wanted to bring up, Jack, before I forget, is Kenny's been playing at centre back. We are big Kenny advocates here.
And it worked against Preston, to be fair.
We're delighted that Kenny's been one of our most consistent performers this season. Really pleased with the way that he's been playing. And to be fair, he's done a great job at centre back, considering it's not his position. I'm just looking at it. I'm still thinking, God, it seems like the type of thing that you would do if you were like desperate for a result and you had like an injured defender, or you didn't have enough defenders because they were all injured, or it just still seems to me a real sad, sorry state of affairs that we're having to play Kenny at centre back. I mean, what does that say to the centre backs? And I need to bring this up now, Jack. And this might sound extreme, but if I'm Danny Bart, I'm looking for a move out of the club. I think it's shocking that he's not playing. I really do. And some people say, and I've said myself, well, he's a very similar player to Duffy, to Hanley. I get that. But the fact that he is an outright centre-back, Sunderland's player of the season last season, he's been brought into the club, and now there's a midfielder playing in his place. That to me is stupid. I think Kenny should be playing in midfield still, despite those two good performances at centre-back. We have to factor in the fact that Kenny has played centre-back against shit teams. Let's be honest. And by the way, I'm not taking this away from Kenny. I'm delighted with how he's played, and I'm so pleased that he's managed to do a good job there. But if I'm Danny Bart, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on?
Well, I'm sure Kenny doesn't really want to be playing there either.
Oh God, yeah, of course. But I mean, he'll say I'll play anywhere and and of course he will. But
look, I think the Danny Bart thing, it's certainly something I'm not losing sleep over. But it just sums our recruitment up. We've brought in a centre back that we now don't deem good enough. But because that's clearly what it is. Because we don't play him when teams are going aerial and going long.
Yeah.
Well, we don't play him when the ball's on the floor.
Well, surely we now know that David Vagner did not want to sign Danny Bart. I mean, I don't know, because for me that makes no sense as to how he's not had more minutes. And the other question I've got, Jayden Warner. I'm a big Jayden Warner fan, huge. And people say, Kyle Lafferty syndrome, Chris, where you want a player off the bench or in the squad to come in and make a difference. I looked at him and I thought, despite the circumstances, he looked strong, he looked fast, he looked mature. I think he read the game incredibly well. So again, maybe this isn't just a Danny Bart thing. Maybe this is Danny Bart and Jayden Warner. Why aren't either of those two playing centre back?
You've also got, and I know it's something. It's something that people look to when you're not doing well. But Brad Hills, who's currently on loan, I think captained Accrington Stanley this week. Young defender, born in 2004.
Oh wow, blimey! I feel old now.
So he's a young'un and doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
So you do look at things and go, well, he's probably going to be back next season.
Yes.
We've got Danny Bart and Shane Duffy on fairly. I think Duffy came in on a 3-year deal.
Yes, 3 years.
Bart was it 3 or less?
I don't know. I can't remember.
But fairly
Bart's.
lengthy, big contracts. Like, again, just sums this recruitment up. It's all over the place.
Another topic I want to talk about, now you've brought up recruitment, Jack, before we probably preview the Ipswich game, I guess, is we're now going into the January transfer window. Well, I say we're not now going to January. We are going to be. We're going to be going to the January transfer window, Jack. Is David Vagner going to be leading the charge on January transfer windows, even though it's so clear the writing's on the wall? I'm still of the faith that people inside the Norwich City circle know that.
Do you still believe that?
I still believe that they know that David Vagner is not the man to lead us forwards in the long term. I really do believe that. I think they would be daft to think that David and his coaching team can lead us to the Premier League, for example.
Well, in which case, if that is the belief, and I think you're probably right, a managerial change has to be made pre-January and not the week leading into it. It has to happen post-Ipswich Town. We play Ipswich on the 16th of December. So realistically, a managerial change won't be done until the 18th, which leaves you essentially a week and a half before the January transfer window opens.
It's a complete mess.
We can't. If you're going into the January transfer window with David Wagner still in charge, what you're saying, in a roundabout way, is this season's a write-off.
Yep. I don't disagree with that. I wish I could.
And realistically, this season is a write-off because we're not good enough to get into the playoffs. Even if we do get in there, we're certainly not good enough to win the playoffs. But it's, again, we come back to this sleepwalking mentality.
We just stink of mid-table mediocrity, don't we? You summed it up in your post-match video very well, Jack. Just everything about this team, the feeling, the players, the recruitment. I think this is an issue, though, Jack. This January transfer window is coming up. And, the flip-flopping of we're going to sign loads of experienced players in the summer and then David Wagner coming out and saying, oh, well, it's very obvious that we need to reduce the age of the squad. So what are we now going to do? Just go and sign a load of young players in January? Or I just think we all know it's a complete bloody mess, isn't it? I'm really trying to be positive, but it's very messy. And the feeling around the club and the consistency of positive results will not happen without a change of coaches.
Where's your mentality at the moment? Are you resigned to just being a mid-table championship team?
Yeah, sadly, yeah. Yeah, and
given up,
and it absolutely kills me to say that. I wouldn't say I've given up. Of course, you have. I want to go into games thinking, yeah, go on then, let's give this a go. But I don't have faith that we're going to end up in the playoffs. Put it that way. I do think we stink of mid-table mediocrity, and that's sad. What do you think? Do you think this season is done?
Well, I keep kidding myself, Chris, because I went into Saturday's game for whatever reason, more to just get me to the game with some form of sanity. I was going, right, if we beat Preston,
we won 3 and 4. It's fair enough.
Well, the performances had been awful, but I'm just looking at this and going, I don't know where we go. We're not. There's no urgency to change manager. We've got a squad of players that I'm really not that excited about, and to be honest, can't see too much of a future with.
Yeah.
The two bright sparks of Rowe and Sarah will likely be off either in January or at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Probably, to be fair, probably veering more towards the end of the season now, which is good.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at that defensive line. Probably very few of them will be here next season, and if they are, I'm not very excited about it.
Remember, someone's got to want to buy them, Jack.
That is true. So then you're stuck in the same position as we are this season, and I'm just looking at it going, I'm not seeing change.
Of course.
I keep going there, going, maybe this is the week it changes. Maybe this is the week it changes. And it's just not happening.
I know.
The only possible hope we've got now is, we beat Sheffield Wednesday and we go into the derby and we just nick a 1-0. We just nick something.
It would be a miracle. I had some. Let's talk about this Ipswich game now, Jack. Shall we? Let's preview before we go to all of your statements, questions, rants, and I think there might be a couple of raves, unbelievably as well.
This is such a strange week. This because one, we haven't played them for so long.
Yes.
So I'm just completely out of sync with what an East Anglian Derby feels like. In my lifetime of going to matches,
I was going to bring this up.
I've never seen us lose in person.
No way.
The last time they beat us
Really?
was 2009. I got my season ticket in 2010.
Wow. So you've really not felt the actual pain of a derby.
No.
Lost.
So and I'm going into this, and it's just weird because the way I see Ipswich this season and that of us in 2018-19, nothing to lose, free flowing, up and coming manager. Young, hungry players, scoring worldies. They are the talk, pardon the pun, of the town.
Yeah.
Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm just resigned to the fact of going, I think if I set my expectations so low for this game, I can't be heartbroken. Because anything other than 5-0 defeat is positive. Because I look at Ipswich and I think they've got all the characteristics for a good derby side. Manager that doesn't really get too caught up in emotion, unlike Mr. Lambert, and we saw how that ended.
Yep.
They've got players who actually are they haven't played in a game like this before, so they probably don't attach too much emotion to it. It's just another game for them against a pretty shit championship team that they're just hoping to dispatch.
Yes.
And they're on the absolute journey of a lifetime. Us, on the other hand, this is very much damage limitation for us. You've got players in there.
Roles have been reversed, haven't they?
You've got players in there like Kenny and Onel that have been here but only ever tasted success against them.
Yes.
I've got a horrible feeling this turns nasty.
Yeah, I do, Jack. I want to bring this up as well. I try not to read, no offence, but I try not to read the YouTube comments all the time because they can be really, really horrible, actually. But I did read them after the last podcast, and someone was saying, Chris, why are you bringing up that we're gonna lose? Why have you said that? Why have you got this big? Why are you bigging up Ipswich? And I'm saying I'm not bigging them up. And I hate them. I absolutely hate them. But the matter of the fact, in the stark reality is, look at how they're playing, look at their results, look at their performances, and then look at us. I don't want to praise Ipswich, and I think the feedback I've had overall, Jack, is some of the feedback is. But Chris, they're a newly promoted side. Come on, they're a newly promoted side. Yeah, they are a newly promoted side, but look where they are and how they're playing, and look at us. I mean, I don't enjoy this. I absolutely hate it. And mate, you're going to feel something that you've never felt before come Saturday night.
Not in a good way.
Seriously, because I'm old enough and ugly enough to have felt the pain of a derby loss in the stadium. It is horrific, and I have enjoyed. These multiple years. I think it's definitely over a decade now. It's been so long. I think it was 2009 our last loss, wasn't it? It's going to hurt. Look, put it this way: if we win, I will be laughing for a week. In fact, the next podcast, I will just laugh for an hour long. It will just be me laughing. I won't talk. I will just laugh.
Let's just say that we do win. Because and amazingly, I saw lots of lovely viewers on Saturday, and they were all going, "What do you think of the Ipswich game, Jack?" And I said, "You know what? I think we're going to get battered." And to be fair, 80% of them, and I think again, it's just to maintain some form of mental sanity. We're going, well, it's their big occasion.
Yeah, it is.
It's their big opportunity to beat us.
Yeah.
We might nick something, and they might just have an off day. And lots of Norwich fans were going, Jack, I think we might nick a win. I think we might get something. Let's say that happens. Just put yourself in a world where that happens.
Okay, all right, fine. Right.
Does David Vagner then keep his job?
No, I don't.
But
don't.
Can you sack a manager after an East Anglian Derby win?
Yeah, you can.
Will they do it?
No, they won't.
So he does remain in a job?
Well, yeah, temporarily, but I still don't think he's the long-term solution, even if we manage to beat the scum. I just don't. I do.
But December is so pivotal, Chris. You've got, I think, after Ipswich, you've still got another 4 games in December.
Yeah. You've
got a couple of games at home that we should be winning.
Don't get me wrong, Jack. It gives them a platform to build on. But how many platforms have we had this season?
This is what I'm saying. we have to get rid, regardless
well,
of
I
result.
know, yeah, I agree. But look, if and it's a tiny if, we win the derby, it will be incredible. It will be the most hilarious derby win of all time because we're sitting ducks. We're going into this going, yeah, all right, come and tickle us. I'm so worried. I mean, obviously I don't like them. I don't think they're as good as our 18-19 squad. I don't think they're.
They're certainly going at a better points per game than we were.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. Facts don't care about feelings. So I'm wrong. Well done. Good one. You've got me. It doesn't feel like that. It feels to me more like that double bounce season that we had under Paul Lambert. I think that's what it feels like to me. A team. And I think you brought something off camera, Jack, about, what's his name? Is it Morsey? Sam Morsey. Sam Morsey. Oh, he's on a few. If he gets booked, he'll be out of the derby. Mate, that Ipswich team is not about one player. It's about the collective team. Just like we were under Paul Lambert when we did that double bounce. It won't. I think we're clutching at straws. I want to be positive. I'm so sorry to be negative. How do we beat them? How do we beat them? How do we beat Ipswich? Blooming heck.
Because
I think we put every man behind the ball.
We can't defend.
No, I know, but that's our only hope. No, that is our only hope. Actually, sorry. Let me change it a little bit. I think at kick-off, we go, on FIFA where you go all-out attack. Yeah, at kick-off, we go all-out attack. We try and score early, and then we get everyone behind the ball.
But we've seen that doesn't work.
If I could do it, I'd put 2 goalkeepers in.
Not Long. Not George Long.
Naughty. No. On a serious note, I think that is.
This is my concern.
But we can't even park the bus, can we?
This is my concern. I've not seen a single performance this season that would even get a draw against Ipswich. I think the only game we can compare this to is when we played Leeds at home. We took a 2-0 lead against a free-flowing Daniel Farker Leeds United side, packed with quality, much like Ipswich Town, and we bottled it monumentally. So even if we go 2-0 up against Ipswich, I still think we get beat.
You've still not got the faith, yeah.
I can't see a single world where Vagner gets the setup right.
I very much believe it's a case of, as you say, this is Ipswich's cup final. You'd like to think that maybe they get carried away in the emotion, maybe they get a red card. Maybe the anxiety and emotion just gets to their team a little bit, and that's the only thing. And they have an off day randomly, but they're not really having, even in their quote unquote off days where they concede early, they're still coming back and getting draws or wins. So
I think the only.
I hope I'm wrong. To be clear, I hope I'm wrong. I'm not enjoying this. I'm sorry to be negative. I don't want to be negative, but.
I think the only hope is they have conceded a fair few goals this season. They're not. They're not.
Yeah, but defensive. We're not scoring enough goals, Jack, to be like, because they could have a game, right, where their defence are playing in gear 1 or gear 2, but as long as they're scoring, it doesn't really matter.
To be fair, when I say they've conceded a lot, they're also they're the top scorers in the division by a long way. They've scored 43. They've conceded 25, which, to be fair, is over double that of Leicester's, more than Leeds, more than West Brom, more than Sunderland, more than Cardiff, more than Hull. We've conceded 36. We actually have a negative goal difference now.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's not looking good. Right, let's get on to Twitter questions. And thank you, everyone, for getting in touch. God, it's such a strange week, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with Matt Gregory.
No, actually, before we go to Matt, I've got a question. I'm going to mix it up. I've got a question for you this week, Jack.
Okay.
I've seen on social media a really interesting, and I'm so sorry for not remembering who brought it up. I've seen a very interesting talking point. Alex Neil has just been. Alex Neil, look,
he has. Yeah.
Alex Neil has just been dismissed by Stoke.
Yeah.
Okay. And someone said, are you that desperate for a change of head coach that would you bring Alex Neil in as, say, I don't know, an interim manager from now until the end of the season? Because we have to remember, Jack, that Alex Neil found Norwich City under Neil Adams at the time in a much worse place than what we are now in terms of points than we are now under David Vagner, and he managed to get us in the playoffs, and of course we won the playoff final. We've heard Cameron Jerome speak about it on our podcast, the feeling and how Alex Neil just motivated them to that victory. are you that desperate for a head coach that you would get Alex Neil in until the end of the season? Are you that desperate?
Well, put it this way. I mean, would Alex Neil do it? Probably not.
Yeah. If
Ben Napper still doesn't have what he deems a long-term replacement, I'd absolutely take him.
So do you think we're in that? Do you think, Jack, we're in a position where we need another short-term solution before we hire a long-term solution?
If Ben Napper doesn't have a long-term plan, which is, we have not heard from Ben Napper, so we don't know, I would go as far as saying I would bring in Alex Neil ahead of the derby.
Really?
Just shake it up.
Really?
Just throw something at the
You're that desperate for a new head coach?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, look, we're interested to hear your thoughts. Would you bring Alex Neil in?
I keep hearing, like you say, the expectations have fallen so much. There were a few people at Carrow Road on Saturday where they were like, well, we created a couple of chances against Preston and we bossed the ball. I'm not overly upset. Is that what we want to watch every week?
Come on, hang on a minute. We bossed the ball.
The same people who hounded Dean Smith out, and let's not forget Norwich City were 4th at this time last season.
Yeah.
The same people that hounded Dean Smith out for the way in which we played football are the ones now weirdly supporting David Wagner.
I don't know.
And it's worse. It's far worse than it was under Dean Smith.
Yeah,
it never got this bad under Dean Smith.
Yeah.
Would I take Dean Smith back?
No. No. That is shocking from you. Sit down. Shut up. Anyway, you know what? I'm sorry I brought that question up. And by the way, to be abundantly clear on this, I don't really know. I don't really know where I stand on it, but it's an interesting. I thought it was an interesting talking point. How desperate are you for a bit of spark that would you potentially bring in Alex Neil?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
What's Alan Irvine up to nowadays?
Oh, Christ of mercy.
He did well.
What's Peter Grant up to these days?
Matt Gregory on Twitter. Well, when David Wagner said Ben Napper's plan in January looked exciting, what, in your honest opinion, do you reckon will happen? Will there be a small amount of money available? It's been strange, isn't it, Chris? Because it does sound as if they might make some cash available in January.
I've absolutely no. I'm confused by this, Jack. I almost feel like it's slightly disingenuous because we were told previously there's absolutely no money. We haven't got a pot to piss in, and now the accounts have come out. We're in a challenging financial situation, and now there's this narrative that all of a sudden there is an opportunity to bring in.
Yeah,
I'm now like, what is the truth?
And Mr. Wagner said that we don't have to sell to buy. I guess you do have instalments from Aaron's and Omobamidele that might start to trickle through. But
okay.
The really depressing thing for me, Chris, is even if we did spend money in January, I don't trust us to spend it well. And I don't think even if they put 10 million on the table, which I don't think will happen, definitely won't happen.
No way.
I don't think it will be enough to do what we need to do.
Well, I again, look, I hope I'm wrong, and this doesn't come from a place of understanding or insight on this. I'm thinking that Napper will be able to bring in maybe 3 or 4 loans, maybe. but that's more through hope. I don't expect us to. I'll be very surprised if we can bring some players in January that give us a little bit of hope of the playoffs.
But it's also which players would want to come to a side in 14th place or whatever we are in the Championship with hope that they will achieve any kind of long-term dream here.
Jack Wright, be honest. What is the most boring Norwich game you can remember watching?
There's been a lot. I got sent an old programme the other day.
Right.
In the post. It was from I think it was actually from the season where Alan Irvine finished the season. What was that, like 2017 or something?
God.
And there were so many games in there that I genuinely cannot recall. And I've not missed too many home games over the past decade. There are certain games where I've just forgotten.
Yes.
And so there's probably lots. Yeah, exactly. You know how some people can remember who reffed our game against Crystal Palace in 2013? Yeah,
Spud. He's the type of character.
I can't. There's some games I genuinely can't even remember, and I was there.
Yes.
So I think this season, QPR was shocking, and I'm literally talking about the last month.
Yeah.
I'd say the game this season that I was most just about was Middlesbrough. Remember we lost 2-0 or something?
Yeah.
And honestly, and I hate saying this, I stayed at the bar for like 20
Yeah,
minutes.
you did. I remember you
because
did. Yeah.
I was having a pint with my friend Harry. Hello, Harry, and it was 0-0 first half. We were going, cool, let's just hold on to a point now.
Yeah.
And they scored within like a minute, and we just said, there's no point going back up because we're not going to equalise. That was probably the game this season where I was just like, I wish I wasn't there.
And I wish I could argue with you and almost challenge you and say, well, that's just recency bias, Jack. Of course, there's been dismal times in the past.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I really do think, in terms of performances, we're churning out performances worse than what we saw in the Houghton era when we were moaning about the negative football there.
Well, and that was in the Premier League as well.
Yeah. And don't forget that under Houghton we had our highest place finish since that famous 1993 season, I believe, 93-94 season. I mean,
I think the issue is, and Craig, good old Craig, has said something really interesting. I think after we'd just beaten QPR, and it is that feeling of, well, it doesn't make a difference. If we'd have lost, the same thing happens. If we drew, the same thing happens. If we win, the same thing happens. Wagner stays, nothing changes. It's just it's an impending sense of doom.
Right. Let's try and bring something slightly. This isn't a positive, but it's a change of tact anyway. On the ball updates says the amount of young talent we have, we could be playing a young and exciting team, but instead we continue to play senior players, which yes, you need experience, but some of them are not capable of competing at the level we want them to. It's very frustrating. Now, Jack, I'm going to come back to this question straight away. I think we are already at the point, and I think you might tell me off this, I think we are already at the point of the season because of what we are and what we're turning out, where I think we should be giving opportunities to young players.
Yeah, but
Jaden Warner, get him in, 100%.
Chris,
you've spoken about Brad Hills. You know, I know that might be a little bit extreme.
Why would he want to leave Accrington Stanley?
Because because he's doing a good job. I know. I just think maybe the young players do need an opportunity.
I think we had this last season where we ended the season basically. I think we actually had like the youngest squad in the division at the end of last season. Did that work? No. Like, is it going to be any better than what we've got now? No. I keep hearing this huge list of young exciting players. Have we? Because I can't see them. I mean, have you seen the results of the youth teams? No. I mean, we've got Brad Hills. I like the look of Kamara. He looks exciting.
Yeah, he's doing well at Pompey.
To be fair to Johnny Rose,
Delia's favourite club, Pompey.
He's taken his chance really well. I mean, look, I don't follow the youth teams as much as I used to, but
do you know the thing?
That's not a long list to me.
There is one.
Jaden Warner.
There is one young player, Jack, that I want to bring up, and it irks me to bring it up because I know you've got a very set opinion on this player.
Who's this?
Liam Gibbs.
Oh, okay.
I actually I like Liam Gibbs.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's got potential. Thank you.
Me too.
Well done. Good.
I just don't like the treatment of him.
I am when he first came in, I remember coming out with that he could be the next Ollie Skip. But I think it's because when I saw his skill set and what he was doing in that role, that central defensive midfielder role at the time, I thought, yeah, young, raw, but there's something about that lad. I still think he can be a really, really good player for us. I just don't get him in number 10. I don't understand him in that number 10 role.
I'm afraid it's the latest.
And it's not on Liam Gibbs, by the way.
No. It's the latest in a long string of errors from David Wagner. I don't know what. The only thing I keep hearing him saying about why he's playing in more advanced is that he's quick. Is he quick? He can't shoot. At the moment, that might change. Missed a glorious opportunity and looked devastated.
Yeah.
And fair play, I'd be devastated too.
Yeah.
Can't really see a man that can pick a defence splitting pass. As you say, in the deeper role, don't mind it. Mops things up.
Yeah.
It's great work ethic.
Yeah.
Strong in the
energetic
tackle. Don't mind it. Don't hate him there.
Yeah.
In the number 10,
You hate
I squirm. I saw him come on at the weekend in the number 10, and I went, well, that's game over.
I think that's a bit harsh.
No,
I don't think the number 10 or forward lines constitute game over.
I do.
I think defensively it does.
I do.
Particularly with some of the shambolic defensive displays we've seen this season.
And look, this isn't a criticism of Liam Gibbs.
No, I agree.
Probably one of our most exciting young players. That's what's upsetting me the most.
Yes, I agree. That's my point. That's my point.
And Liam Gibbs will know this. His future doesn't lie in the number 10. He's wasting really progressive years of his career by being put in a shocking position by David Vagner.
Interesting. We've got a question from MX Haralan. Question: what does Bor Bor Signs have to do to play more than 10 minutes every week? Starts over Onel all day for me.
Well, look, Borja came on. We can't criticise Vagner for that. He came on against Preston, looked fairly ineffective. I don't know what the word is. I don't really care anymore. Look, there are certainly signs of Borja signs. I think we're getting a little bit carried away with it. Like, is he the problem to? Is he the fix to all of our problems? No.
This is the definition of Carl Lafferty syndrome.
Yeah. And equally, look, Onel's not being good enough this season.
Yep.
And I get the people who are saying he shouldn't be starting because his numbers haven't been good enough. But what Onel does do is he does add another degree of defensive stability. His work ethic is good. He drops in deep. Particularly at the weekend, he came in and helped Diminulis on a good few occasions. I don't see that in Borja signs. Should we be seeing that from a winger? Probably not, but that's how Vagner wants to play.
Yes.
Because he likes to get it wide. So, look, I do see why Onel continues to start, and I think on his day is a really big asset for us. But just because Onel's not having his best time at the moment doesn't mean that Borja should automatically start. For example, would I throw Borja signs in against Ipswich? No, I wouldn't.
I personally, mate, I'd play Borja definitely over Liam Gibbs in the number 10 role.
Well, yeah,
definitely.
Well, yes.
I don't think it's a case of Onel or Borja.
No,
to be honest with you, I don't. I think Borja could play in multiple positions. I think, people will be listening and watching and go, oh yeah, I know what you're doing, Chris, he's your mate, and da-da-da-da. I agree with you, Jack. I think what Onel can do going forwards is he can stretch back lines. He wins corners very well. That is something that Onel does. He'll be disappointed he didn't take the chance at the weekend. I felt that he could have potentially taken it with his left foot.
Or squared it.
Yeah, or squared it maybe.
I think that's
I want to... And I would say this about... And I promise people watching this, I'd say this about any forward player. I think Onel is being jumped on at the moment by people, and I think people are thinking that potentially almost like he's he's not the biggest problem. His performance levels, being under par in terms of his numbers. It's nowhere near the biggest problem. Our defence is a fucking car crash.
No, it's not, but it is part of the problem. I don't think he's scored at Caro since 2019.
Yeah, I know, and we say facts don't care. I get that. I just think people are jumping on Onel a little bit too much.
I think the shame with Onel is
if he plays. Put it this way, Jack. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. If Onel is playing in a side that isn't conceding as many goals, and the top two are chipping in, I think he'd do really well. I mean, look at last season, right? I tell you the game where I thought, I like this, was when we went to Millwall. We beat them away. Do you remember? Millwall were looking relatively good at the time. I think they were on a little bit of run of form. We were worried going to it. Onel combined with Sarah very well, but don't forget, at that point, Sarah was playing in that number 10 role.
I think with Onel, I think if he takes his... I think he's probably, at this point, you're in such a goal-scoring drought that you're almost putting pressure on every chance you get. And I just saw a lack of... I just saw he kind of snapped at it on Saturday, and it wasn't a big chance. It was a chance.
Yes.
But, I mean... is it right that Onel's getting criticism? Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, but it's right that all of the players are getting criticism.
But who do you throw in there over Onel? Because I think you're right. I don't think he's like an out and out winger, and Onel is. You're certainly not putting Porheta in above him.
The thing that I would say about, going back to the question, the thing that I would say about Borja, Jack, is I have heard that potentially it's potentially a language issue, and that is fair. If that is the case, I I would understand, because surely a player that isn't quite tuned into the English language yet is not going to be able to understand instructions, tactics, as well as someone that can speak and listen and understand English, right? I don't know. I haven't fact checked that from another source, but that is something I have heard, and so therefore maybe that's the reason why Borja's not playing. But for me, it ain't just a simple case of Borja or Onel. I think that Borja can play other positions. And people will get on my back for this, but I think people should get off Onel's back, because there is. I really, really do think people are just jumping on him now. I think the defence are an absolute shambles.
Well, I think,
and the fact that people are giving him more grief than the defence is a disgrace. It really is.
I think this is the way I'd play this week with Onel, and like you say, this isn't our biggest issue. I think I'd drop him against Wednesday and just give him a bit of a break, and I'd throw him in the deep end against Ipswich. Let's see what you've got, Onel, because the TikToks and all of that stuff. He's talked a good game this season with Ipswich and getting stuck into them. Let's throw you in the cauldron. Let's see what you've got.
Well, what I would say about Onel, I would play Onel versus the Scum too, because I think they'll be targeting him.
Yeah.
And I think that if I was Onel, if I was David Vagner, I'd be saying, right, Onel, yeah, I want you to start against Ipswich, and you could see a couple of big challenges going in on Onel.
I think.
Good luck, mate.
I think that is the game that would suit him.
Good luck, Onel. But that might then open up that opportunity of maybe too many bookings, or maybe a booking and then a red card. Maybe David will say, look, draw the foul, Onel. Maybe. So that could be the answer.
Here's a question from Matt Morris for the sake of balance. Matt says, good all-round performance against Preston. McLean at centre-back looks like a masterstroke. Not against the top four, but the rest of the league forwards are so poor, I think we can still do it. Once again, let down by being two quality players short where it matters. Barnes, Gibbs and Eder, not good enough.
Barnes, Gibbs, and Eder. I think that's harsh on Eder. I think Eder has actually been one of our bright sparks this season. People won't want to hear that.
That's probably not a compliment, to be fair.
Well, no, I know, but I think that's harsh. I would still say with Ashley Barnes, he's still relatively fresh back from injury, so I'd cut him a bit more. I'd cut him a bit more slack actually. And Gibbs, we've said he's playing in the wrong position, Matt.
What I would say to Matt is that, I agree with him. I think the league is probably weaker than we first thought. Let's not forget we do have Josh Sargent returning, hopefully around the turn of the year. And I think if Josh should have played against Preston, I think we win that game. I think there's been a few times. I think Josh is a real cut above the other strikers we've got, actually. So I think with him in the mix, you do have a better opportunity. I still think, was it? I don't think it was necessarily a masterstroke to bring Kenny McLean into centre back, because the games we've played him in centre back, like you said, they were against fairly poor teams.
I'd say it was a desperate stroke.
I mean, there was very little to defend against Preston, and the times when we did, they came very close to scoring. So I think that's a slight overreaction. I think there's a degree of hope. I think we look okay against the average teams. I think we look so far short against the better teams. I just think we are sadly inclined. I don't know what the word is.
I tell you what we are, Jack.
Go on,
Paul Krask has replied to our podcast questions post with a GIF that's of a lady just saying, "Just so boring."
Yeah, it is,
and that's true. You go into games. And I try to go into games, grasping onto, elements of hope and optimism, and maybe this is the game, But the reality is, you're going into it thinking, blooming heck, we're gonna what we're gonna do this time, and I've said it on the last two podcasts, and I will say it again. Norwich City are in a very, I'd say, dangerous position with supporters, because there have been seasons of past where there have been disappointing times. We've been let down. The recruitment's not been good enough. The results have been poor, and we've gone into season ticket renewal, and people have still renewed. And I would actually say, I'd go as far as saying the board have been very complacent with that throughout the years. The Norwich City fans, undivided loyalty. I think they're fortunate that there's only one team in the area that you can support as well. And as much as we love the club, I don't know about the people watching and listening or your mates, Jack, but my friends that I've spoken to, they are all saying to me, Chris, I'm genuinely considering not renewing.
Yeah.
And I mean it, Chris. And I'm like, do you really mean that, or are you just emotional? And I've gone back to them the following week after, maybe we've had a positive result. I think it was after we eked out one of the wins of late. Maybe it was the Cardiff game. I can't remember. And they've still said, yeah, no, seriously, Chris, it's too expensive for the current times that we're living in. And it's just, going back to that gif from Paul Krask, it's just so boring. And I think the longer and later Norwich City take to change the coaching staff, to bring in exciting players in January, I think they're treading a very, very fine and dangerous line.
You're spot on. I think we pay relative to the league an incredibly premium product, and we're not being served something premium. And I think you could almost get away with it if you could feel something building, but that's the problem.
Yes.
And Saturday was really telling.
You need hope, don't you?
It was empty. It was absolutely empty. The rows in which we sit on in the Barclay, I don't know how many seats are there in a row. 30?
How
20?
sad is that?
There was 4 people. They were, and people are. These are people who have the tickets, and they're just going, I'd rather go to bloody John Lewis and do my Christmas shopping. It was absolutely empty. I think they released the attendance figures. They said something like 25,500. Nonsense.
And I'm noticing, and the other thing I don't know about everyone else. If you look at the attendance figures, I'm starting to notice a slow but steady decline in people attending. I think it will be a lot worse.
I had a couple of spare tickets that a friend had given me because he didn't want to go on Saturday.
You can't get rid of them.
That I didn't need. And I asked so many people, I said, do you want a ticket? Do you want a ticket?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, come for a drink, but we're not going to the game.
God,
and you know what? How can I convince them? What do I say? Yeah, don't sit in the warm pub enjoying Gillette Soccer Saturday with Simon Thomas. Come and watch Liam Gibbs play in the 10. And they say to me, no, you're all right.
Ollie, the Northern Norwich one on X. Let's see their bio. The bio says Jonathan Rowe with a goat emoji. Love that from you. Question: which Norwich player, past or present, would you want to play a frame of snooker with? Of course, something that you brought up last time, that you randomly wanted to open up a snooker hall, Jack. I never knew that about you.
Yeah.
So which Norwich player would you want to play a frame of snooker with?
Well, I want someone, I think when you get in a snooker hall, you just want to have a nice boring time. You want to drink some warm ale, and you want to just escape reality and just have a nice dull time, and that's fine. So I'm trying to think.
Mate, can I say you've absolutely lost it.
I'm going to the snooker hall with?
Go on.
I'm going to go and play a frame of snooker in the newly opened Reeve Snooker Halls.
Yep.
With Michael Turner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's past or present. Yeah, Michael Turner.
Michael Turner.
Really?
I'm going to go there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a little nod on entry, and I'm not going to talk to him.
I don't think he'd talk to you either.
No, and I don't want him to. Michael Turner. If you ever want a game, let's go and queue up.
Who do I want to play frame snooker with?
Do you like snooker?
I'm definitely a pool man.
Yeah.
Pool
I love snooker this time of the year because it's often on the telly sort of over Christmas. Just stick it on in the background and fall asleep.
I just have absolutely no idea. I'm the opposite to you, Jack. I'd be a bit bored playing snooker.
So you want something to liven it up.
So I'd want something to liven it up. So I think maybe for a bit of banter, I might go Kenny.
Oh, okay.
I might go Kenny McLean.
Yeah. He'd be good on the booze as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I suspect that he would be getting the rounds in. Yeah. So that's who I'd go for.
Kenny. Yeah, that's a good option.
Come on, next one.
I don't think there's any more.
I've got one.
Okay.
Statement. The game. This is from All About Opinions. The game against Preston was exactly what we should have expected. A mid-table clash. 2 teams playing like they had nothing to play for. Big reset needed for us now if we want to get anywhere near the top 6
Spot on.
in future years. And that's an interesting point to bring up, All About Opinions. And there was another question from, there was another one in here. Oh yeah, here you go. From Half saying, where do you see Norwich in 2 years? People are starting to think, how much damage is this season going to do for the future seasons?
Well, look, I think things can turn. I think you only have to look at Ipswich, who were kind of rotting in League One. New owner, new manager.
Yeah.
it can change quickly. So like, I'm not overly concerned about the future. And look, you only have to look at this season. If we'd have won 2 more games, we'd be in the playoffs. Like, it doesn't take much.
But the Atenasios aren't going to be
they're
truly
not.
in the house
No, they're
until
not.
3
But
years' time.
What we have to do as Norwich fans now is we have to put blind faith in people. We have to put blind faith in Napa, who we don't know loads about, but he's our only hope. And we have to put blind faith in the Atenasios that they're going to dig deep.
Yes.
If we don't do that, then we are nothing.
Well, we have no choice.
No,
I agree.
Exactly. So we
I
have
agree.
to just be, wildly optimistic about what
It's
the
hard
Nappers
to
can
be.
bring. Otherwise, we will be a 14th place or worse championship team. The question before was spot on. Saturday was 2 very average championship teams up against each other. That's all it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Chris, look, we'll end things there.
Hopefully, next time we speak, Jack, we would have had a win against Wednesday and an absolute miracle at Portman Road. But I suspect
I think it could be tough.
I won't be feeling festive come next week.
Let me know. Let us know how you feel about things down in the comments section below. Look, loads of content coming this week. We've got Benjamin Bloom on the channel, plenty of Ipswich content on the horizon. Stay locked into the socials. Lots of giveaways coming up with our new sponsors, Coleman's.
Don't forget, there's still a chance this week to get your hands on the Gabby Sarah signed shirt. This does not come around often, if ever again, by the way, because he might be off. That's not from Intel, by the way. So, all it takes is a £2 donation to a local cancer charity and you can get your hands on it. Let's keep that donation train coming.
Absolutely. If you're off to Portman Road, stay safe.
Yeah, and good luck.
Chris, good to see you. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.